I would like to extend a warm welcome to Major General Jeewaka Kulatunga. He's Chief of National Intelligence Division at Ministry of Defense of Sri Lanka, as a keynote speaker today. Before we move ahead, I would like to introduce him. General Kulatunga was enlisted into Sri Lankan Army in 1984 as an officer cadet and has a very illustrious career from second lieutenant to major general, covering all the salient appointments of the military career from 1985 to 2019. He's been extensively exposed to internal conflict challenges in Sri Lanka and was awarded the Rana Vikram Padakkama, which is Ranasura Padakkama, my apologies, for his gallantry during the conflict. He's been appointed as the Director of National Cadet Corps in December 2019, currently serving as Chief of Naval Intelligence Sri Lanka. He is an NBC, PSc, he's an MNSA in Philippines. He did his PG Diploma in Strategic and Defense Studies at the University of Malaya. He did his PG Diploma in IR, Diploma in Civil Affairs and PsyOp from USA, and then several other feathers to his cap. So without any further delay, I would first extend a warm welcome to General Kulatunga and invite him at this podium to deliver his keynote address. Over to you, sir.
Yes, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear, sir.
Thank you very much, Amit.
Thank you, sir.
And Excellencies, participating delegates from different countries, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. I consider this occasion a big privilege for me to address this august forum on the scope of intelligence sharing in BIMSTEC countries. However, giving more consideration, I guess it is more appropriate to say prospects instead of scope on intelligence sharing. With that, let me move into my speech. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't wish to elaborate on the history and functioning mechanism of the BIMSTEC, but it is relevant to mention that BIMSTEC cooperation under counterterrorism and transnational crimes has already been divided into 4 subgroups with lead shepherds: intelligence sharing, combating financing of terrorism, legal and law enforcement issues, and prevention of illicit trafficking in narcotics, drugs, psychotropic substances and precursors, vesting the responsibility on Sri Lanka, Thailand, India, and Myanmar respectively. Sri Lanka is vested with the responsibility of intelligence sharing among the countries. In this context, we need to understand the fact that intelligence sharing should be a concurrent responsibility of all countries as it relates to achieving the overall purpose of the organization. The question of intelligence cooperation at the international level has received more attention, particularly from historians. The origins, development, and functioning of the Anglo-American Intelligence Alliance since 1940 have been the subject of relatively intense study from a range of perspectives. Important research has also been done on such diverse subjects as intelligence sharing between the West and the Soviet Union during the Second World War, on intelligence collaboration within the Soviet bloc during the Cold War, and between Soviets and Cuban intelligence, and between Western intelligence and former Nazi intelligence officers. The growth of national and transnational intelligence networks has given great impetus to the issue of intelligence sharing, much of which takes place informally on the basis of trust and reciprocity. But however it occurs, the sender of the intelligence wants to have it believed by the recipient. Our world is becoming smaller with the quantum leaps we have taken in the fields of technology and communication. The knowledge-based economies that we were talking of are today a reality. We are closer to each other than we have ever been. In this increasingly globalized world, the benefits of such developments transfer far quicker than expected. Unfortunately, along with these benefits, countries have also become increasingly vulnerable to the transnational rather than international terrorist and criminal elements and their activities. Modern terrorism and other transnational crimes have become more complicated and are the biggest challenges being faced today by many nations. Nations have lost their people in millions and wealth in billions in the fight against this menace. This is where we should thrive to obtain critical intelligence before it is too late. The emergence of cyberspace has given terrorists a new tool that transgresses the geographical boundaries of nations and operates in a wider space. Therefore, curtailing cyber terrorism has arisen as a new challenge to nations. Terrorist groups are able to maintain their anonymity and conceal their activities using the wider nature of cyberspace. Attacks via the internet could vary from hacking computer systems to gaining information to well-coordinated distributed denial of service attacks, which could bring down crucial computer systems and infrastructure such as air traffic control systems, telecommunication systems, banking systems that could paralyze the economy of a country while creating a tense situation in the society. Terrorists also commonly use the internet and cyberspace for communicating their political ideology through fabricated and illegal content. Terrorist outfits glorify their activities in order to gain more popular support that will enable them to raise funds for recruitment purposes. Also, the ability to easily disseminate training materials and manuals provides a virtual training ground for its potential cadres on cyberspace itself, making it difficult to contain. Such activities go beyond borders, and with the advancement of technology, either to unknown dimensions of terrorist and criminal activities have emerged, such as cybercrime, which take place at speeds that are difficult for governments to cope with. Terrorist groups no longer function in isolation, and extremist ideologies have found resonance with communities, groups, and individuals, and reached homes in desperate continents that are essentially brought up on completely divergent world and societal views. They are able to transcend borders using new networks of communication that are difficult to regulate, monitor, or control. The relaxing of controls related to the movement of people across borders and easy access to cheap transportation methods has also compounded this issue. There also exists an inseparable link between transnational criminal syndicates and terrorist groups, which terrorists often use the former to procure weapons and pile funds. It is essential, therefore, that all these interlinked issues be tackled in a comprehensive manner. The United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime call upon states to, and I would like to quote, recognize the links between transnational organized criminal activities and acts of terrorism, taking into account the relevant General Assembly resolutions, and to apply the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crimes in combating all forms of criminal activity as provided therein, unquote. The use of terrorism to secure political and ideological objectives is not a mere theory, for us in Sri Lanka. We experienced at first hand the LTT, or Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, using at times indiscriminate and at other times selective lethal force, creating fear among the public in pursuit of their objective of a separate state. A fundamental obligation of democratic governments across the globe is to protect their citizens from terrorism. Terrorism has a direct impact on human rights, on the physical integrity of individuals, their right to life and liberty. In addition, terrorism can destabilize governments, jeopardize peace and security, and negatively impact social and economic developments, which also have an impact on the enjoyment of human rights of the people. Having dealt with such conflict with a terrorist group over 30 years, we are well aware of the devastating impact of such instability on a country. The humanitarian operation that the government of Sri Lanka undertook was to protect the sovereign and undivided democratic country for its people. In dealing with terrorism, many countries in the region and beyond extended cooperation to Sri Lanka, which was crucial for the defeat of the LTT. In particular, we constantly recall the cooperation extended by various intelligence agencies when Sri Lanka was fighting terrorism. Sri Lankans remain deeply grateful for the cooperation extended by all these countries and always value the importance of it. Without such exchanges, the military defeat of the LTT would not have been possible. Whilst the LTT has been militarily defeated in Sri Lanka, its international network continues to function through front organizations. The agenda remains the same, which is the creation of a mono-ethnic separate state in Tamil Eelam in the north and east of Sri Lanka. The activities of pro-LTT diaspora groups, which continue to espouse separation, are harmful to the national reconciliation process which is underway. It is clear that due to the sophisticated and transnational nature of these groups and their activities, concerted efforts reinforced by an integrated intelligence sharing system must be made by all countries to rid the world of this menace. Cooperation at bilateral, regional, and multilateral levels, therefore, is critical in this regard. Such a holistic approach pays dividends. It is in this context that work within the BIMSTEC on combating common threats such as terrorism, terrorist financing, religious extremism, illegal migration of persons, human trafficking, smuggling of arms and ammunition, trafficking of drugs and other illegal substances, and the emergence of phenomena such as foreign terrorist fighters and the widespread use of social media by terrorist and extremist groups become of paramount importance. The contemporary threat perspective, which was discussed earlier, has common implications on every country. The space that is available for the fundamentalists or radical ideologists to operate in the form of modern terrorism has been widened due to various socio-economic and political factors. One classic example is the Easter Sunday multiple suicide bomb attacks in Sri Lanka in 2019. It showed the whole world the unprecedented capabilities of modern-day terrorists who are competent in navigating the security apparatus, misusing the very principles of democratic governance. There were a few similar incidents, of course, in the region that occurred during the past, including the Mumbai attacks in 2008 and Bali attack in 2002, the very recently one in Abu Dhabi. All these involved cross-border terrorism or external support. Therefore, enhanced cooperation among intelligence agencies is essential in order to maintain national and regional security. This is the very work that BIMSTEC countries are presently focused on. No state is capable of gathering unilaterally all the intelligence that it requires. This is especially true of foreign intelligence, given the wide range of potential topics and geographic regions involved. As a coping mechanism, states reach out to foreign counterparts to fill gaps and, in certain cases, reap the benefits of comparative advantages. In this regard, I would like to mention Thorsten Wessling, a veteran researcher in this field, conceptualized in one of his research intergovernmental intelligence cooperation as any range of activities undertaken jointly by sovereign states with foreign intelligence agencies, called intelligence sharing. I firmly believe that absence of any violent acts committed within a particular jurisdiction should not be considered as a factor to determine that particular jurisdiction is not subjected to any terrorist activity and is safe from such conduct. Entertaining such a false sense of security mindset will be harmful not only to that particular jurisdiction, but also to other members in the region and globe as well. Our experiences show that criminals who engage in terrorist activities and transnational crimes would most of the time select countries other than their targets to organize their activities and perhaps launch their operations from those countries to the detriment of the final target. Recently, our law enforcement agents in Sri Lanka successfully investigated financial activities involving several foreign nationals. Further investigations reveal that these criminals were involved in such operations in other jurisdictions as well. When the activities were clinically analyzed, it showed a web covering many jurisdictions. Therefore, intelligence and information sharing among all members will certainly help countries to ensure that they will not permit their soil to be used to conduct activities against mankind. Ladies and gentlemen, all the members of the BIMSTEC countries, considering the present context of issues, should come to a common and firm consensus for sharing of reliable information related to the areas of concern. What is important is that the implementation of an effective and practical intelligence sharing mechanism aiming at safeguarding national security of member countries, which would be the key factor in achieving the national sustainable development goals. In this effort, Sri Lanka, together with BIMSTEC Secretariat, is working out to facilitate an architecture for the creation of a unique platform for all the member countries to share intelligence and information in a secure manner. And as of now, some work on this has already been done. Further, identifying challenges to law enforcement cooperation due to the prevalence of diverse legal systems and priorities is urgently needed so that synergies can be built and operationalized in order to address the increasingly complex questions of counterterrorism and transnational organized crimes. The gathering and sharing of intelligence would be futile if the necessary legal systems are not in place for effective follow-up action to be taken. As a member country of this very unique regional organization that services to bridge South and Southeast Asia, it is in Sri Lanka's interest to exploit its full potential. The strong bilateral relationship that exists based on mutual trust, a history of friendly cooperation, and mutual assistance have made this regional arrangement stronger to prevent terrorist and criminal activities in the region to guarantee regional stability. However, a lot more needs to be done. As member countries are willing to strengthen the cooperation, all these countries must bear in mind that criminal elements are fast changing their modus operandi, and with it, the nature of traditional security threats are also evolving, in addition to the emergence of non-traditional security threats which command our attention. In this, I suggest an even wider and stronger partnerships be formed, such as with the UN, four-pillar counterterrorism strategy, in order to be aware, equipped, trained on this new dimension of the transnational terrorist threat. In conclusion, I would like to say that if we tend to think of our own countries as independent entities and that should not share intelligence with others, it is the result of issues of trust, transparency, and consent. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I conclude my speech, and I thank you very much for the organizers for giving me this opportunity. And it's a wonderful platform, I would say. And may I also wish all the speakers and the organizers the rest of the time all the best. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jan Kulatunga. And it has been indeed a lot of thoughts are coming to my mind when we talk about India, who has been witnessing the cross-border terrorism promoted by our neighboring country for over 3 decades. And in Sri Lanka, where we have seen a lot of terror activities in the recent past, including 2019 Easter bombings, which have actually shaken not only Sri Lanka, but the entire subcontinent. It is indeed very much essential for timely collection, collation, interpretation, and sharing of information, sharing of intelligence, so that timely prevention of any kind of terror activities can be averted, which is the need of the day. And of course, as Janan said rightly, the role of BIMSTEC is very much prominent when it comes to the Indian Ocean region. So the BIMSTEC countries can play a vital role, probably can by establishing an intelligence grid, by establishing a joint cooperation system in the field of maritime security, in the field of intelligence, in the field of actionable action points. So this can be done, and certainly it should be done. So I extend many thanks to the journal for sparing his time and coming on the August platform of Global Counter-Terrorism Council to address us. Many thanks from GCTC, and thanks for coming at this platform, sir.
Thank you, Amit. All the best.